mate, it feels so long since we last lost a game.
I know.
How long ago does that Liverpool game seem? 9-0 was the last time we lost, by the way.
Mate, we're on. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Welcome to the second look. He's right though, isn't he? Welcome. This is Back of the Net. My name's Sam Davis.
Oh, my name's Tom Jordan.
And this is where we take a review, a second look at the last game. And that game was a 2-2 draw against Fulham at Craven Cottage. Look, was it a deserved draw? Were there any dubious penalties? Are they our new Watford? Because we always seem to draw against them. And what was with that second half? Why were we sitting so deep? I'll take a point there, mate.
Oh, absolutely, mate. Yeah, I think most Bournemouth fans, I certainly would have taken it before the game. Yeah. Half time, maybe I started thinking, oh, could we? Because we've done all right. But yeah, I think both teams would probably look at that and go, that's okay. That's okay. Let's move on from there. Both avoided defeat. So yeah, and I think it was, obviously we'll dive into it, but I do think it was probably a fair result.
Sammy James from the Fulhamish podcast, I was listening to their episode earlier today. The headline basically was entertaining, frustrating, but probably fair. And look, Tom, this was AFC Bournemouth's 200th Premier League game. And of course, being like a double century, huge fanfare, tweets, Facebook posts, Instagram posts, the whole world knew of it. No, they didn't.
No, they let everyone know when Forest had theirs, which was spread over about 3 decades. But yeah, we didn't actually get a mention about that. But no, nice little touch. And then I think Solanke's goal was a landmark as well. Was that our 250th Premier League goal?
Yeah, that's right.
Like
Yeah,
so a few nice little landmarks in there, mate.
So over the next half hour or so, we're going to chew the fat over what happened in West London, including the stats, the analysis, and some views from some supporters as well. Mate, it's a huge week on Back of the Net. Tomorrow, we've got a special Southampton match day preview, and when we say special, we mean special. Wednesday, we've got the fan cams. What's going on Thursday, mate? That'll be the vlog.
Friday, we'll have to review the game.
Yeah.
Saturday, are we going to put out the away day? We have to do an away day review.
Yes, yeah, that
Feels
should
like
be a good one.
Yeah, away day review of Fulham. It'd be interesting to see how it compares to last. I can't remember how we fared it last year, so that'd be interesting. Yeah. And then we get into the next game.
Yeah.
West Ham then on the Monday on my birthday.
Yes, I know. Happy birthday to this guy on Monday. If you see him, yes, he will have a shot. Yes, he will have a pint. But yeah, we'll do the preview material on the Sunday. Of course, free for all Monday, matchday vlog Tuesday. Away, mate, it never stops.
It never stops, but I love it. I love it, and we're gonna, when we get that World Cup and all that, we're gonna be craving Bournemouth content. So let's enjoy it, mate.
So just for that, you can like this video if you can. I would truly appreciate it. And if you've not subscribed, then yeah, do that as well. So yeah, it is a huge game for AFC Bournemouth. It's a huge match week in the Premier League. All the matches are on Amazon, and that means if you can't get to the game, you can watch it.
Where should they go?
I reckon a Greene King pub.
Greene King pub. It's where the fans go.
It's where the fans go. Every game, major game on Sky Sports, BT Sport, but also Amazon. So if you're in and around Bournemouth, plenty to go to, including the Broadway, the Westbourne. Also got Spyglass and Kettle, the Commodore in Poole, Antelope, Jolly Sailor, and of course near AFC Bournemouth.
Brunswick.
Yeah.
Richmond Arms.
Yeah.
Broadway. Got a few in around the stadium as well. So yeah, some nice pubs as well. Been on all, they're good.
But the good thing about it is that you can get 10% off your drinks, Tom.
Whoa, I didn't know that, mate. That's a bargain. That I'll tell you what. And you can, you need to do something though to get that.
Grab your mobile telephony device,
go on.
Go to the App Store or the Google Play Store, search for Greene King, Green with an E, and then one of the apps that will be showing is the season ticket app. You've got your main app where you can order your food and stuff. Season ticket app. And this is good, right? So in and around every major televised game with the Greene King app downloaded and you signed up, you can get 10% off drinks an hour before, after and during a game. You can book your tables on there. There's instant win prizes too. Plus, there's something extra special because when you do sign up, there's a promotional code, which is BOTN, which stands for Back of the Net. And as a result of that, we give them something very special.
Yeah, freebie, mate. I've sadly already used it.
A free napkin or something?
No. You can have a free drink of your choice, really, mate. I'll tell you what, there's so many choices on there. You can have a free drink. So yeah, I think I went for a pot of Amstel for a change. Yeah, just thought I'd mix it up, so I used that to have a free Amstel.
And you know what?
But yeah, great offer, innit? I mean, what more do you want?
And also there's several offers that will drop through using the BOTN code, but yeah, get your free drink. And what happens is, just go to the offer section, you'll see your welcome pint, click it, and it presents a QR code. So you either flash it to the bar staff or use the coupon code and then use the Greene King app to put in that code, and then it deducts it and they'll deliver it to your table. Unbelievable. Head to your app store, download the season ticket app. If you can't make it to the game, make it to a Greene King sports pub, your home of pub sport. That's where the fans go.
It is indeed. I'll tell you what, if you do that and put the old code, send us a little picture.
Yeah.
Send us a little screenshot of you getting your free pint. I'd like to see how many people get their free, or whatever drink, but get their little freebie off back of the net.
Like that, yeah. At AFCB podcast on your socials, tag your free pint. We'd really appreciate it. So, Fulham, a winnable game, a team outside the top 6. That means we don't lose, and Gary O'Neill never loses, mate.
Doesn't. I'm almost thinking, do we let him go to England for the World Cup just to bring it home? Great record at the moment. And I think, as you say there, mate, I think both teams are probably looking at it saying, winnable game, but let's make sure we both don't lose it. And that is what ended up happening. But no, I enjoyed it. It was, starting lineups were kind of, I think I went a little bit different and mixed it up, but we decided not to. Went unchanged, didn't he? Which was interesting. But I think ultimately it did work. Yeah, it did work. So there you can see on screen the team lineup. And notably, for the opposition, we sort of got a clue about 1:57 on the socials with Fulham tweeting a picture of the back of Mitrovic's shirt. That would have been a letdown for their fans if he wasn't playing, wouldn't it? But he was involved, and a lot sort of pivots around Mitrovic. And I think, as a Fulham player, having that player on the team sheet must give you a bit of a confidence boost. It would definitely give you a boost. It would have given the fans a boost, but as you say, the players as well. And I did manage to get that one right. And so I did feel like he'd probably play. I think I said in the preview, I think he'll be okay to play. Probably the main surprise for them, or for me on them, was that Diop come back in. Obviously, we'll come on to the fact that he ended up doing all right for him by nodding one home. But apart from that, I think they were pretty happy with their lineup, and obviously, just delighted to have him in there because, like you say, mate, it just must give all them players around him a boost and know they've got that forward, they've got that main man. We must have been looking at Fulham licking our lips because they've got one clean sheet across 11 games in all competitions. So it was a chance to hit them early, just like we did last time with Dom Solanke scoring within moments. Same happened again, mate. I think it was 63, 64 seconds or so. Yeah, just over a minute, unbelievable scenes. Talk me through the goal, mate, because I barely took my seat. Well, I didn't. I stood at my seat, but barely really computed what was going on. But what a good start from us. Really good move, wasn't it? Dom picked it up, and Billing was getting beyond him. And what I like about Dom, I think they gave a decent analysis on Dom in particular on Match of the Day, actually. But he drives in, Billing makes a good little off-the-ball run, but then he follows the run straight away. It'll be easy for him to stay there, and Billing almost feels like Billing knows that where Dom's going to be, and good pullback, really good connection, and Leno couldn't get near it. So really good start of the game. We've kind of been starting games where we've kind of just made sure we've had our shape, and it was really nice to see us kind of go for the throat early on. Bit of limbs early doors, mate, which was nice to see. And it was a really good moment, full of good touches as well, because the ball, the ball was played into Solanke's feet from Tavernier, was it? Yeah, I think so. And his first touch there was great, and then obviously he played. Phil Bill's run, brilliant. It looked like he was going to do an overlap, but then it turned into an underlap, and then he sort of chopped it back, and then another first touch again from Solanke. And it almost looked from where we were that it was an own goal. You couldn't really see the connection because he hit it so quickly. Yeah, but when you watch it back, it's just a really, really good connection from Dom. And that's what I like from Dom. You can tell that he's confident now because back in the day he'd have missed that chance. Back a couple of seasons ago. I think he's better with them instinctive things as well, rather than when he's got to think about it. And that instinct of just reaction quick, get your foot out, and nice finish. Yeah, and I think it was Dan from the Fulhamish pod. If you on the Fulhamish Twitter account, he's put his own dissection of how poor he thought the Fulham defending was. And I mean, they were at 6s and 7s a little bit, but the move was so incisive that I think you have to give us credit for that. Definitely have to give us credit. I think from a Fulham point of view, I understand that and appreciate that. And you mentioned that stat earlier that I think they can certainly hurt teams, and I think they'll. On a broader point, I think they'll probably have enough to be fine in this division. But they need to sort themselves out a bit defensively because we've shown that we're quite a tough nut to crack, and they managed to crack us a couple of times, albeit set pieces. But we could get at them on counter-attack and on transitions because they're not quite right at the back in my opinion. But they have got a few injuries. I think they're really missing Tete at right back. So yeah, and we caught them early, mate. So we deserve credit for sure.
And we continued to play well. Our pressing was good, but Fulham were starting to get a foothold in the match the more time went on. But I've got to say, our fans were incredible, really loud. It's one of those old school grounds where it's easy to whip up an atmosphere, and we certainly did. First time I've heard this Gary O'Neill chant. What's that, to the hot stepper?
Yeah.
I think they were in the hole in the wall at Waterloo beforehand, and someone cleverly concocted that, and then 2 hours later we were all singing it at Craven Cottage, and it was very, very good. But that said, we conceded a corner, and you know, in the blink of an eye, in the quickest of quickest flashes, 1-1.
I'm thinking that corner. Am I right in thinking it was the Mitrovic cut inside and kind of sold Senesi? And it was probably the only moment in the game that I felt Senesi got caught. And so it was kind of, in that sense, it was a silly corner to give away, because if Senesi hadn't kind of, misjudged it, we probably could have dealt with it a bit better. But yeah, in terms of the corner, felt very reminiscent of the Forest one. Poor marking. Are we still doing that kind of half zone or half man mark? I'm not quite sure what we're doing, but Diop, I know from his days at West Ham, he is quite good in the air, and he did connect with it really well. But it was a shame because we were doing okay in the game, and then when he could concede from a corner just in a simple header, it's a frustrating one. But it is what it is. It was a decent header from Diop, and back to all square. Which, to be fair, as you kind of alluded to there, they were starting to get a little bit more of a foothold in the game, weren't they?
When the game is all square, or when we're behind, Bournemouth started to play, and it was all square, and then Bournemouth, we started to play better again, and then on 27 minutes, wow, that breakaway that saw Fredericks slipped into the box, I think it was a Christie pass, and he appeared to me to be pulled back by Tim Ream, and he went down. Graham Scott said no penalty. VAR didn't see it as a clear and obvious error from the referee, therefore it carried on. Fredericks was incensed. He must be thinking that there's some kind of personal vendetta against him because
he got booked for diving in the last
game. Exactly. And it was just,
it's a penalty.
It's
a penalty. You got pulled back, and
why aren't the media talking about this?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why is it only us that are talking about it? The Bournemouth-based media. Why aren't they? I think Neil Perrott on Twitter yesterday said that there was a shirt pull in the penalty box, of course, between AFCB and Fulham. No coverage. Same offence in the Liverpool-Man City match, and it's gone global. Why?
That was in the middle of the pitch, by the way.
Yeah.
Weird one. I think another point that kind of come off that makes you think, you always have this thing about kind of whether it be diving or people making the most out of things. I'm not surprised because it feels like when you get a tug back, you have to almost dive because otherwise you're not going to get anything. And I don't get it. He's clearly pulled him back.
Is it right? Okay, this is a real basic thing to say.
Go on.
Are penalties just free kicks but inside the box?
Yeah.
That's what they are.
Yeah.
So
essentially,
that happens anywhere else on the pitch.
No, fact.
Ref gives a free kick.
Yeah,
why is it that their mentality changes when it comes to penalties?
Yeah,
it does.
It's a weird
it changes.
It's a weird one. It feels. This is nothing against Fulham, by the way, but it does.
Of course it's not.
It feels like that was one of them that home team maybe gets it. Do you know what I mean? And then just in the general, it is a weird one. I don't really get why. When VAR have looked at it as well, how they've gone, that's not a clear pull. I don't really understand it, to be honest with you. And obviously we'll come on to later decisions.
It's the refereeing error they're looking at rather than the incident itself.
If he gives it, they don't overturn it, put it that way.
Do
they? It's going to be a penalty. I just don't really see why would Frederick, he's going to get that ball. I don't know why he would go down if he hasn't been tugged. So, yeah, weird one, really frustrating. It was hard to see at the time, wasn't it? I think in the moment, in the stands, obviously it's down the other end, kind of couldn't really see anything, wasn't really sure, and then obviously look at it back and it's a clear pull. So frustrating, but at the moment it feels like we're probably due a few. I don't know what Fulham's record's been like, but from a Bournemouth perspective, I think O'Neill said since it's been a charge, I think it's been 6 or 7 VAR calls, they've all gone up against us. We haven't had anything go our way this season, so we're probably due a few. Mate.
I think in life sometimes, no matter what profession you're in or social situation you're in, you do the action that upsets the least people. And it feels that because we're a small club, it feels like it's easier to piss off 2,000 travelling fans than a home contingent of, like, say, 20,000. Same at Liverpool, like 55,000. You know, it seems to be the case because they know that the reaction on social media will be huge if he was to give that. And then, you know, same at Liverpool as well, and other places.
And regardless of whether I think because we don't need to get into that, but the Liverpool one that you mentioned, regardless of the fact that whether I think that's the right call or not, if that's at Man City, it's a different decision, in my opinion. That's what I think, and I think regardless of this introduction of VAR and all this technology, it's still going down that same route of most of the time. The bigger club or the home team, they just seem to get more decisions. That's how it feels to me anyway. Come on to the later calls later in the game, but that one for me was the key one that I thought was wrong.
But you know what? It's funny how you forget things so quickly, and in the blink of an eye, we did forget it because Jeff Lerma was on the end of a great bit of Solanke play from the right-hand flank where he cut in and then teed Lerma up, who had so much space inside the penalty box. I mean, they're going to be... Marco Silva's going to be rerunning that tape plenty of times. He seemed to have so much space and he gently caressed it with his side foot to the corner of the net, 2-1.
Really good finish because, you know, Jeff Lerma, as much as I love him, wouldn't be surprised if he blazes that.
He's not a composed finisher.
No, really good finish. But again, Dom Solanke, the work that he did on that right side, and then he's coming in and he still has the awareness to see Jeff on the edge of the box. So yeah, really, really nice goal. It was a really good move. And a really big moment in the game because again, I think you kind of briefly mentioned it, but after our first goal, I think we sat off a bit. Once they equalised, we took a foothold in the game again and started causing problems. So it was a big moment to score. And chuff for Jeff. That's 2 for him now.
I've noticed, mate, that we seem to have this routine from a corner, or if there's a free kick in and around the corner, we've done it time and time again now, where it's not whipped straight in, it's played back, and then someone gets in a really good delivery, always to the far post. There's always people running around. This time, on 43 minutes, it was Jeff Lerma, I think, at the far post that had a header that the keeper saved, and at that point in time, I couldn't really see who it was, but I'm thinking that's a goal. Surely, whoever's got that rebound, whoever's going to be following that up, is going to be nodding it into the net. Not so.
No.
Unbelievable save. It was Adam Smith with a header in the end.
Yeah, I think you come down because it was, as you say, 43 minutes, so I was down underneath just getting some refreshments. But I think you come down and said, I've seen it on the telly, and you weren't sure, and I said, it was Smith, because obviously I managed to see it on the telly.
I thought it was Meppen.
Yeah, I remember you saying you weren't sure it was, but...
In fact, that's one of our bloopers that... we had to start re-recording.
We had to start recording again.
Shall I play that? Go on then.
Go on.
Because it's you.
So funny. Half time, 2-1. Tom just saw a really good chance for Meps there, but
I think it was Smith, right?
I think it was. So hopefully they go for the back down again.
If it wasn't, that's
okay.
By the way, if you're on the Telegram group, anyone who's a monthly member gets all the bloopers from back of the net sent to them fairly regularly. And I've got to say, I make a lot of bloopers, and you can see all clips like that become a monthly legend by just, that was nearly a blooper then, for a minimum of £3 a month to support the channel going forward. It's afcbpodcast.com/coffee.
You get a worrying amount of blooper content actually on there, don't you, really? But no, as I say, going back to the point, mate, you come down and and obviously I said it was Smith, but it was weird because I felt in one moment of play, I felt the Lerma header where, like you say, he gets down the back stick, I thought Leno was poor in the fact that he just palmed it straight out, so you think keeper's made an error, and then the next instant he makes a world-class
Zero
save.
to hero.
Yeah, exactly. It was an unbelievable save, and I remember him. I know that Arsenal, if it weren't for the fact they got Ramsdale, they were always happy with Leno, and I thought Leno was superb throughout the game, to be fair. But I feel for Smith, maybe he could go across, but it's in the blink of an eye, he just gets contact, which I get, and it's a very, very good save. But obviously, the way the game turned out, that was a pivotal moment, wasn't it?
Just before half-time, did you see that? In hindsight, there was a penalty claim for handball where Solanke didn't see it. No one seemingly saw it, but the ball ran to Leno. But when you look at it from a couple of replays from different angles, that's handball.
Yes.
But not a penalty though, no?
No, it's a weird one. I don't want to see them giving us penalties, really. He just kind of falls
Not even
on it.
for us.
I mean, yeah, 100%. But it's one of them. It's we've been talking about it with loads of people, but I don't think that's a penalty. But then I think of the penalties that have gone against us for handball, like Lloyd Kelly getting a ball fired at him from 3 yards on a volley, and it's a penalty. And then Lerma's one. We've had a few handballs go against us. So I think, well, maybe it is then. I don't really know. But from a neutral standpoint and just thinking about whether I want them to be given as penalties, absolutely not. He just kind of falls on it. But at the time, because of the inconsistencies at the moment, and I was underneath, so saw it on the screen, I thought, oh, this might be given, but it wasn't. I don't really know what's given and what's not these days.
So half-time came and went then, and then in the second half, mate, I honestly thought and wanted us to push on and get that third, but as it was, we gave away a silly free kick, really. It was Fredericks, I think, who...
Silly kick out, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't was that a Mitrovic on the left leg?
Yeah,
I think it
certainly
was.
heard Mitrovic. He got a bit of a scream, didn't he?
Yeah, and then you know, there's another debate that's raging on social media now, and that's because of the penalty that was given after the free kick was whipped in. Lerma and Mitrovic in a bit of a bear hug with each other. Mitrovic goes down, falls back. Lerma goes with him. It looks pretty bad. We're gonna give you the kind of Twitter vote shortly about was it a pen or wasn't a pen, but yeah, the penalty was given. Just we have to remember, is it a clear and obvious error?
Yeah.
And it wasn't a clear and obvious error, so that's why they stuck with it. So you can see why VAR stuck with it, because they're not looking at the logistics of who's falling down and who's doing that. The referee made his decision, and you can see why they gave it. But if we're going to analyse the penalty decision and just isolate it on its own, what did you think, mate? Do you think, I know it was Jefferson Lerma, and you love him, and you send him love letters every day, but...
I think what's difficult, I know Gary Neal was very incensed about it. I actually think he probably should have been more incensed with the Fredericks one that we talked about rather than that.
Well, Match of the Day didn't even show that, or did they? Well, they did
show the Fredericks one back.
They didn't comment on it.
I think what's hurt Jeff here, because I think, like you said, if the ref doesn't give it, it wouldn't have been overturned for a penalty. But because he didn't make a clear and obvious error and he saw it, it was given. I think what kills Jeff is that his eyes aren't on the ball. His eyes are not on the ball.
But you know, like, as a defender, are you always supposed to just look at the ball then?
No, but I'm just saying, from a ref's point of view, he's looked over and he's seen Jeff is not looking at the ball, and they both fallen to the floor. I understand what Gary Neal was saying in terms of the fall from Mitrovic, and don't get me wrong, I think there's a world where Mitrovic has been clever, and Jeff's been sucked in, and it's probably a penalty. I think I want it if it's the other way around. I think it's very, very tight call. I think I'm trying to take out of my mind the fact that we didn't get one with Fredericks and just look at it as an isolated incident, and I think it probably just is. But it is a really, really close call. It's a really close call. I think
you see why it's given.
Yeah, they're both grappling with each other. Mitrovic is a bit clever. Jeff gets sucked in. I think it's probably just a penalty.
So I mean, both of them are basically doing the same thing, but it's just, you know, the virtue of the fact that Mitrovic fell backwards. If it was Jeff falling backwards and Mitrovic on him, maybe it would be a free kick the other way, perhaps. And that's why Mitrovic is very wily.
Yeah, and Jeff doesn't need to get involved. Jeff doesn't need to get involved in that. It's a silly decision from Jeff, and he's given the referee a decision to make. He doesn't need to. And I think in the end, the free kick comes in, his header straight out, wouldn't have done anything. So yeah, difficult. I can see why it's given, put it that way.
And look, we put a flash poll out on Twitter just for an hour or so. So there was only about 200 votes or so. But we asked, was it or wasn't it? And 45% said it was a penalty, and 55% said it wasn't a penalty. So the fact, and this is AFC Bournemouth fans.
So I think that says it all. So I think you've got mostly Bournemouth fans voting on that poll, and it's only just
basically, you know, I mean, it's Brexit, isn't it? It's like it's about 50-50.
So if it's like that on a Bournemouth-based one, I think you can say it's a close call. But yeah, for me, I personally think the decision, we should have had a penalty for Fredericks. But that one, I kind of get it. So, yeah. I think the more the frustration from Bournemouth fans is that we should have had one. I think if you look at an isolated incident, I think it probably just is. I think Jeff gets sucked in.
So, some comments that came in after that, Adam saying, it's a pen. Neil Dawson on the vote said, Anita, seen them given, seen them not button. Yeah, fair play, agree with that. Sam Summers says, Mitrovic does buy it a bit, but Lerma has his arms wrapped around him and not looking at the ball. That makes it a penalty for me. Kirk said, does anyone know what anything is anymore since the suits have taken over? RC Morg says, can see both arguments, but I think it is. Yes, Mitro buys it and he has his arms around Jeff, but Jeff had his around Mitro too and is blocking him from the flight of the ball and isn't looking at the ball while Mitro goes down easy and takes Jeff with him. I think it's still a pen. And look, there's a lot of debate raging, but the fact that we're debating it, like you say,
probably just is. I think generally the frustration amongst fans is the lack of consistency. I know for a fact that in the next few games, I'll be watching the games and there'll be people with arms around each other in the box and nothing will be seen. So it's frustration, but from a for a Fulham point of view. I think that they'd want that, and I kind of get why it was given.
You know what I hate about this kind of new brand of football? I don't know when all this happened, but Jermaine Jenas and some of his punditry did annoy me slightly the weekend. But the phrase that really annoys me, 21st century football, well within his rights. He's well within his rights to go down. And that's one thing that just really annoys me. As someone who's maybe a little bit more old school, I hate that. I absolutely hate that. But in this day and age where every Premier League match is so important for the futures of football clubs, you can see why players are wildly like that. And Mitro, he knows every trick in the book.
That goes back to the Fredericks point, mate. You've got to make a mid of it, otherwise you're never going to get it.
Yeah.
And he needs to he's probably looking back at it, go, I need to make even more of a mid out of it because I still didn't get it.
Even the BBC is saying that's savvy from Mitrovic, but for me that's definitely not a penalty. That was on the live text commentary. You've got pundits that are saying completely the opposite as well.
A lot of strikers are like that now. I always think Harry Kane's one of the best at it. Kind of buys them, but he's going, but I was contacted, so I've had to make a mid, and he's very good at that. And Mitrovic's done that as well. I certainly wouldn't have a go at Mitrovic for it, but I see your point.
One of the things I did like though, and we know that Jurgen Klopp is the king of this, and there are other managers that do the same. They will utilise their post-match interview to say how disappointed and say that there's an agenda and vendetta without saying those words, because otherwise a fine will probably land on his doormat. But he's using his platform to express his annoyance so that hopefully next time referees might think twice. And Jurgen, we've seen it all the time, but Gary O'Neill did it on Match of the Day, which is the most watched football programme that weekend. So he's made a start. So hopefully if there's a 50-50 decision in future, maybe it will go our way. But as a result, that match went from nailed on to a nail biter because Fulham upped their intensity, and we were camped in our half for most of the time. The possession stats at the end of it, I'll pop the stats on screen now, but you can see that overall Fulham had possession of 69%. It felt like most of that was probably in the second half because they had a lot at the ball, but we were defending incredibly resolutely. It was a great training drill in many ways.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think that doesn't surprise me too much, and it doesn't concern me too much. We're away from home, and we're a team that can cause problems on the break, and we've been defending well. So I kind of expected them to have more of the ball. I think a key part of that from a Fulham perspective was Tom Kearney's introduction. I thought Willian later in the game done well as well, but I thought Kearney come on, I can't remember who it was for, it might have been for Reed, but when he come on the pitch, I thought he dictated things really well. I thought he was very, very good for them. I know he's been there for a while, and they're maybe not sure if he can step up to playing every week in the Premier League, but I thought he was exceptional, and I thought he really took the game by the scruff of the neck and started controlling things in the midfield for him. That game a foothold, and it was just one of them. I felt it would have been interesting if that penalty wasn't given, how the game would have turned out, and would they have been a bit more desperate, and we'd have had more opportunities on the break. But I think again, we've said this a lot, what's pleasing me is that teams are having a lot of the ball against us, but Neto isn't having an awful lot to do.
I was about to say the same thing. Out of all of the chances in that second half for either side, penalty aside, we probably had the best chance. That was Dom Solanke when he was put through by Christie.
Yeah,
do you remember that? Great hold-up play. I think they picked up on this on Match of the Day, actually.
Yeah, because he fell over and got back up and made the run.
Yeah, and he got back up, and he, lightning pace, and then low shot. I'm not sure what else he could have done. Maybe high into the net to trouble the keeper.
I think it's a really good finish getting it that, because he's at an angle, but Leno reads it and Leno makes a good save. And he should make, but it's a good save. But he's at a really hard angle there, Dom. So
apart from that, I remember Mitrovic having a chance late into the match that he pulled wide. But other than that, Neto didn't. And you know what, Mepham, Senesi, the whole back four. And as a team, in fact, we defended really well. Our shape was so good. Yeah,
no, I agree. I think we've done this in a lot of games recently where, yes, we're letting them have the ball a little bit, and maybe sometimes that's frustrating to watch as a fan because it feels really nail-biting, as you say. But since Neto's come in, really, how many world-class saves he had to make? How many times has he been called upon? Probably at Newcastle we had a few. Apart from that, he's done well, but he hasn't had loads to do, and that's credit to the team in front of him and the way we're set up. But it was probably a little bit frustrating from a Bournemouth point of view because we felt that in the moments where, at the start of the game and when they equalised and we had a bit of a go, we looked like we could cause them problems, and Fulham fans and the stats speak for themselves that they're not the best defensively. But equally, you're away from home, you've got to take the point. I think it's one of them again. We've had a few of these where it's kind of, do we be really brave and potentially lose the game? And we decided to make sure that we come out with a minimum of a point and had a little bit of opportunities on the break, and I'm fine with that. And it is a good point ultimately.
Speaking of the break, though, I couldn't help but get a bit frustrated at Tavernier when he was marauding through. this was like midway through the second half or towards the later stages of the game. He was running through and he had options both right and left, but he just kept on going. I think Steve H kind of used the vlog as a sounding board for he was obviously frustrated by it, and sometimes it feels like just holds on to it too much. We found that in the last game where Leicester scored as a result of him holding onto the ball like a little bit too long. But I mean, look, it takes nothing away from a brilliant shift from him, and I think he's a great player. What an acquisition!
He's been exceptional.
These little moments, just quality in the final third. Sometimes
I think we've got two players in Tavernier and Christie who exceptional when they're off the ball stuff, work rate, do some really good bits, clearly good footballers. And sometimes that decision making, isn't it? And that's what you're going to have. We're at the bottom of the pecking order in terms of getting players in the Premier League, and they're both great for us. But yeah, I felt Tavs. I think he does it a few times. He's exceptional, and then it's just that decision making. It's like he takes like one touch too many sometimes. Where he could shift it or have a go or whatever. But yeah, that was a frustrating moment because, as you say, they were controlling the game, so the chances on the break were few and far between, and we needed to use their moments to be a little bit more savvy, maybe. But ultimately, I think everyone put a really good shift in. There wasn't anyone that I thought had a bad game, and that's always a positive.
Final score 2-2, and as a result, should we take a look at the league table?
Oh, go on.
Go on then. So after Sunday's games, this is where Bournemouth are at. Still a top 10 side. That's also 8 games unbeaten now in the league at Craven Cottage. And also, there's a nice little stat, mate. Since our 9-0 loss to Liverpool.
Yeah.
Parker's last
game.
There's only one team in the Premier League that are unbeaten.
Oh, hang on.
Did you know that?
I'm trying to think. Who would that be? Because it's going to be a big club, isn't it? It's going to be one of the big boys that's always spoken about in the media.
Yeah.
No, go on. It's Gary O'Neill's Invincibles, isn't it?
Gary O'Neill's Invincibles, mate.
What a team. No, delighted. And every time we're ticking off these games with little points here and there is great. But I think we've earned it. I think I've said this on previous videos. Again, it was another game where I felt right result.
Yeah.
I feel all the games since he's been here, the draws, I felt we've earned the draws. And when we've won the games, like at Forest and Leicester, I felt we earned the wins. So yeah, it's going as it is at the moment. But really impressive.
I think we've given nearly everyone a mention so far, but I feel as though a particular tribute should be paid to Adam Smith.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
What performance?
Yeah, I think he's
getting better.
He's one of them players that I just think is so unsung. I even saw it in the week, a few people saying, oh, what do we do when Kelly comes back? And then a few people going, we just put him in the left back and you leave Smith out. Smith is so crucial, and I think I've said this definitely in the past, but when Smith's fit, whoever the manager is, they bloody play him. Yeah. I remember when he came out last season when he had an injury, and as soon as he was fit, Parker went straight back in. Woodgate, when he came in, straight back in, because he's so reliable, whether that be right back, centre back of a back three, left back, wing back, wherever he is, he's great for us. He did a great job on Maddison in the previous game. He was good again. Yeah, I love Smithy, and he's becoming a bit of a leader at the moment as well, which we need. We got some inexperience in there, and I think Smithy's becoming one of them leaders. And I just really hope that he's seen as one of these kind of legends of the football club, because he's been here for a long time now, and he's very, very consistent. And I thought again, but even it's not just us, not just the fan base, even like the football club. I felt afterwards, they did a poll on the man of the match. And I think they put 3 up for it, which were all fair. Solanke got it, which I get. I probably agree with. But I think just put Smith in there as a fourth option. He never even gets in an option sometimes.
Yeah.
I just think he's so consistent. And it's almost credit to him that he don't get mentions, because he's always just consistent. Yeah. He never has a bad game. So, yeah, really, really pleased for him. And I think, to be fair, after the game, when the players come over and everyone, he was getting a lot of love, which I'm really pleased about. Yeah. I love Smithy.
Brilliant, yeah. So 2-2. What a day it was in London. We really enjoyed it. Tom, I've got to say, really, really loving your attire today.
Right.
I like the hoodie.
Yeah.
I like the cap. But can I just say something?
Go on.
There's one person who wears a cap better than you.
Have you got Mark Jackson here or something?
Mark Jackson has got his opinions. Let's have a listen.
Hi guys. Another good point at the weekend against a pretty good Fulham side. Shame we couldn't get the 3 points, and obviously decisions didn't go our way. But I won't talk about that. I want to talk about the recruitment in the summer. A lot was said about it in the summer, that we didn't sign enough players and that we were doomed for relegation, given the fact that we didn't strengthen our squad enough. But actually, when you look at who we've signed and who's come in to the team, you look at Neto, he's been good since he's come in. Obviously, nothing against Travers, but Neto's done a good job. Senesi's really settling in now, and he looks a really good player. He looks like the player that we thought he would be. Fredericks has come in and done a good job as well at fullback. Unfortunate not to get a penalty, obviously, at the weekend. And then you've got Tavernier, who's been one of our best players of the season. So we may not have signed a lot of players, but the 4 that have been playing have settled into the team really well. They've improved the quality of the squad, in my opinion. And then we've still got the likes of Rothwell to come in. Nice to see him on the bench at the weekend.
It's true at Craven Cottage, and it's another brilliant display by the Cherries. And when you can't win, it's important not to lose. But could we win? Yes, we could, absolutely, because as I said, it was another very good performance. We are unbeaten in 6, and Gary O'Neill is unbeaten in 6, and in second half, 5 minutes in, penalty to Fulham. And look, I don't want to be I want to be honest, but it's almost Alexander Mitrovic who throws Jefferson Lerma on the ground, and we are playing well. We are not losing, I know, but it could be even more points on the table than we have now. So let's hope to be more lucky on the penalty decision with the referees. And now Wednesday night under the lights, South Coast derby against Southampton at home. So let's make the atmosphere, and let's hope for the best again. Up the Cherries.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the January transfer window, to see if Foley wants to recruit any more. But yeah, I think given the amount that was said about the lack of transfer activity we made in the summer, really positive signs. And I just wanted to raise that one, really. Up the Cherries.
He not only wears a cap well, but he makes a good point there as well, doesn't he, mate?
He's got a nice cap on, and he's got a nice beard as well, isn't he? He's a dickhead. He does make a good point. I think people forget how much we done in January as well of last season. And obviously, because so many of them didn't stay, because there were a lot of loans in there, kind of Kiefer Moore one that was the main one. But we were always going to do little, and I think people forget how big the squad was. We couldn't do loads, so the squad's full. But I agree. I think that there hasn't been a dud signing because we haven't seen Joe Rothwell yet. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him get on the pitch. I think it was right from, even though he's back on the bench, I think it was right from Gaz not to chuck him in. Yeah. I think if it was one of them, if we were just having to go for it, he would have come on. Yeah. Or if the game was in the bag, we would have come on. But it was too tight to bring on a player that hasn't played any minutes. But yeah, I think we've spoke about Tavernier. He's been a really good addition. Senesi's really growing into it. Neto showed that. I think it's not so much about the goalkeeper, actually. I think it's more that leadership, that experience that's helped the back line after conceding 9. I think he's been really great, and yeah, Fredericks has surprised me actually. I thought when we got Stacey, we got Smith. I thought, do we really need Fredericks? I think he's done a lot. I've been really impressed with him, and it's allowed us to change shape and be flexible with Smithy out on the left, and Fredericks can give you that option of going to wing backs if you need to as well. So yeah, no, I agree with what Mark's saying there. There's been some real astute signings, I think, to add to what was already a really good group. Remember, when we come up from the Championship, we had a bloody good squad. Yeah. I don't think we needed to go mad. So yeah, we'll be really interested to see what Foley wants to do in January and where we're at that point. But I agree. I've been really happy with all the additions.
Good stuff. Look, it'd be really interesting to get your thoughts on the game in the comments. We'll read every single one, but our attention will soon be shifting to Saints. So tomorrow, myself and Tom are going to be joined at the Pear at Parley by Jacob Tanswell.
Oh, nice.
So, of course, we know him from Dorset Live, but also he's now reporting on Saints with the Athletic. So it's a good chance to chat to someone who's got knowledge of both camps. So really looking forward to it.
Speaking of kind of transfers and stuff, if they were to go, could we get him back? That's what I'm thinking. That could be the big signing of the summer. Who knows? But no, it'd be good to catch up with Jacob and talk about that game. I'm really looking forward to it, mate. I was going to say to you, actually, because Dom got the man of the match, was great. Apart from Dom, who would you have given man of the match to? Because I was thinking, I feel like you can make an argument for virtually everyone because everyone put that shift in.
Who did the club have as their three? Because Chris Mepham surely was one of them.
Yeah, Dom, Mepham was definitely one. Who was the other
Lerma?
one? It could, I think it might have been
Lerma?
Jeff because he got the goal as well, to be fair. And I think him and Lewis Cook go under the radar a little bit. We talk about that back four. I think them two are really good protection for him at the moment. So it's all positive signs, mate. It really is.
Like, subscribe, do all that jazz. See you tomorrow. Other Chaz.
Not Chaz. Bye.
Bye.
Don't know why I did that. Pathetic bye, but.